So before we can do anything calculus-wise, we need to make sure that we can write the equation for a line if we know the slope and the point. There are a couple different ways to do this. One is substantially easier in the calculus world, but you need to be able to do both of them. And one is slope-intercept form. So that's this y equals mx plus b. Frequently you'll see multiple choice answers in that form. And the other is what's called the point slope form. Which looks like this. It's y minus y1, so y1 is a number, equals slope times x minus x1. x1 and y1 are numbers. And basically where this comes from, I'm just going to draw it over here, is let's say that we have some sort of line and it's got a slope, and this one down here is y1, or excuse me, x1 comma y1, and this one up here is x comma y. We know that our slope is rise over run, so the distance from y down to y1 is just y minus y1, and the distance in the x direction from x to x1 is just x minus x1. And so this is our rise, this is our run. It's giving us the slope, which is that m. And so you notice if we just multiply both sides by x minus x1, we end up with this form. Totally okay to leave this in this form if you have a short answer question. So let's just look back at our example up here. In this one, I'm going to say this is my x, this is my y. And so I'm going to put each of those in, 8 in for y, the slope is 3/4, x is 2, and then I'm going to have to solve for b and then go and write it as an equation with m and b filled in. So if I go ahead and do that, I've got 8 equals 3/2 plus b. I subtract 3/2 or 1.5 from both sides. B is 6.5, so I can write my equation y equals 3/4 x plus 6.5. That's one perfectly fine way to do it. The other way, using the point slope form, is a little bit simpler for these types of problems. Basically, our y goes in for y1. So there's our 8 right there. Slope goes right here, 3/4. And then we have x minus our x1 is right there, 2. Bam, done. Occasionally you are going to have situations where you see that the answer is in slope-intercept form rather than point-slope form. If so, you just do some distribution, do some combining of like terms, and you end up with it looking the same. Let's do a quick demo for this one. So we're going to do y minus 8, distribute that 3/4, 3/4 x minus 3 times 2 is 6, 6/4. Y equals 3/4 x minus 6/4 plus 8. And when I simplify that out, I get the same thing that I did over here. So this is the basic mechanics of what we're doing. All we're going to be using calculus for is to figure out what the slope is of the line that we're working with, and occasionally to figure out what the points are. So let's get into the meat of this. Finding the equation of a tangent line at a given point. So here's the number one thing to know. The slope of a tangent line is the value of the derivative at that point. Remember, this is one of our definitions of the derivative is as the slope of the tangent line, or the instantaneous rate of change. So if you're looking for a tangent line, your slope is right there coming out of calculus. This is going to be our m, and then the point is generally given. So let's go ahead and do a problem. Find the equation of the line tangent to y equals 3x minus cosine x, whoop, right there, at the point 0, -1. The vast majority of the time this is going to show up in a non-calculator question, so let's do this without the calculator. The first thing that we need for the slope of the tangent line is to take the derivative of this. So I'm just going to call this y. I'm just going to change that name to f of x, just for consistency with our notation. So I'm going to let f of x equal 3x minus cosine of x. I'll do the derivative. Derivative of 3x is 3. Derivative of negative cosine x is negative sine x. And now I want to find the equation of the, I want to find the slope of the tangent line at this particular point. So that just means I'm going to find the value of the derivative, not in general, but specifically at that point, specifically when x equals 0. So f prime of 0 is going to be 3 minus the sine of 0. This is something you really want to kind of just know by now. But sine is the y value, sine is 0. So f prime of 0 equals 3 minus 0, f prime of 0 equals 3. Make sure you're clear about what you're being asked for. This is not our final answer. This is the first step to finding the equation. This is our slope, so we can use it. I'm going to use the point slope formula over here because it makes life way easier. Y minus y1, which is -1, equals slope, which is 3, times x minus x1. And there we go.